Hey guys, I just want to let you know that I'm now a certified spiritual life coach. If you resonate with the topics and lessons that my guests and I discuss on my podcast, and you feel that you could use some empowerment and direction in your journey of becoming who you truly are, consider booking a free discovery call with me on my website at kindlemccullough.com. And now on to the episode. Hey guys, I'm excited today. I have Hannah Dalby. She's a good friend of Gavin's, and he introduced us, and we just had a little chat and loved what she's all about. So we're going to talk a little bit about her story, about addiction, about her program. She also does the integral alchemy that Gavin also does. So thanks for coming on, Hannah.
Yeah, welcome. Excited.
Awesome. Yeah, so you just want to begin by kind of telling us your story, how you got into helping other people, being a coach, that kind of thing.
Where do you want me to start?
Right. It's like, what do I include? Because it's like everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the really broad story is, I mean, you could start anywhere, right? Like I started businesses when I was 8 years old. I had a really good one when I was 14, making rave pants. It was like always what I wanted to do. I do really well leading myself rather than being told.
Entrepreneur.
Little entrepreneur, yeah. But I was a drug addict for about 10 years, like in secret. And so I was like kind of living this double life, like having these amazing sales jobs and even running a business, at one point. And I was an athlete, buying houses and doing all this investment stuff. And at nighttime, living this like chaotic, bikey, drug-fueled life that just no one knew about. So yeah, like I guess in knowing that and like living inside of that world, I started to get really mad at how addiction was handled. Like I knew people that went to prison because of it. I knew people that went to rehab because of it. My brother is still like lost inside of it. And there was some part of me that was like, one day I'm going to change the way that addiction is dealt with. And then if I do that well, I'm going to change the prison system as well, because that's a whole big mess. So that was kind of always in the back of my mind of like, well, I'll make some money and then I'll go and deal with those problems. So I was a professional athlete for a good decade as well, as a fighter. And that was kind of like the second addiction. So at some point through that, I gave up the drugs, and then I could train for 10 hours a day and just also escape all of my issues. And it looked really good, right? Like my Instagram looked really good and everyone thought I was doing amazing and I was so healthy, the endless running and the perfect diet. And actually I was running from everything, literally like 100K a week runs and any kind of feeling, any kind of emotion, I'll just go to training. If anyone got in the way of training, then they were the worst person in the world. So all my relationships were a mess. My health was a mess. I had no reproductive system for about 7 years. My gut health was ruined. It looked really good from the outside, and it was a really big mess on the inside. And
wow. How old are you whenever you began or started on drugs?
Maybe 14.
14. Wow.
Yeah. And like I was partying, like I was in the rave scene thinking I was really cool. I had a boyfriend that was killed in a car accident when I was 18, and I have a feeling that that's, if I really look at it, that's when it kind of got harder and I really wasn't going to deal with anything then. The first podcast I ever recorded was actually with my very first healer per se. She was my massage therapist, and I used to like rock up to these massages off my head. She knew, and I thought I was hiding it all. And she'd be sitting there going like, your mind is going about 3,000 miles an hour. And I'm like trying to slow it down. Like, don't let it know. And she called me out on it. She was like, you've got some shit to deal with, and sat me down in a room one day and like brought out this grief. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Time has passed. Isn't this dealt with? Yeah.
What do you think like it all stemmed from or started from?
The addiction in the first place? Yeah. I think there's two really big parts of it. My parents divorced when I was 8 and I didn't understand why. And I was kind of really kept out of the loop. There was no communication about it. There was not a lot of love, a lot of any of that. And then my dad really quickly got into another relationship where she became the most important. So I was kind of second. and I didn't
Oh.
really belong.
Mhm.
She was really manipulative, and I just had to learn how to grow up really quickly, and I couldn't cope with any of that. So to
Mhm.
make it look like I was winning, this was my way of doing so.
Yeah, makes sense. It's a
Yeah.
pretty I mean, very similar story to a lot of people who are really successful, the winning the capitalism game, you could say.
Yeah. Well, so the only time I got love was if I was winning,
Mm, mhm, mhm.
right? So that was the competition between me and Dad's girlfriend, who's winning, who's doing the coolest thing.
Right.
Right. Right. So if I
Mhm.
could be winning, and so rather than like actually winning, it was like, well, I can take these drugs and I can win double. Because I mean, it's a little bit of ADHD, like self-medicating, ADHD self-medicating without realizing. Because now I can have
Mhm.
thoughts, now I can complete things. I didn't realize that until probably when I was 30, that that's what was actually happening. But it was like, because then I could do those things. I would stay up all night and I would, get work actually done. I was making all these, I mean, I made so much as a like 15-year-old, I was making a lot of cash, but I could follow through and not worry about all of the problems that were actually happening in my home
Mm,
life, and that I was
mhm.
on my own and kicked out into the back shed and all of these things that were actually happening. I could just win, and no one knew how I was doing it. So it just looked like extreme winning.
Right. So the drugs were just helped you focus and helped you like achieve even more.
Yeah, and probably
Mm,
have connection. Like if you have a look at the different types of drugs, right? So getting on the MDMA is like, now I can feel love and now I can feel connection.
mm,
But my
mhm.
drug of choice was ice, and at the end, and that was just literally ADHD meds. So now I can complete work and I can renovate my house and I can do it to completion, and I can have a single thought to its completion, just at a like endless amount without feeling anything, which was really useful.
Right, right. Do you think and this is a little like side note, but I
Yeah.
just got curious. Do you think ADHD has something to do with like trauma
Yeah.
and
So
maybe some?
it's a topic that comes up a lot. Like, is it just trauma, and is autism just trauma?
Mhm.
And I think that there's probably two different types. And this has been spoken about before as well, like ADHD type 1, ADHD type 2. It's like diabetes type 1, type 2, the one that you kind of like stuck with, and then the one that's actually all of the same symptoms from trauma.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I mean like ADHD and autism like they have their good side as well, so that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense to me.
And to be fair, like even still now, like there is like, I mean, I have both. I have ADHD and autism, and it's an interesting place to be in, because you can't really tell the autism is there because the ADHD takes over. But like,
Mm.
if someone doesn't have the right, if like my cleaner doesn't put the sheets on my bed right and they don't match and they are scratchy, like it's a full meltdown.
Mhm.
So
Right. The
yeah, this is a sensory thing. So if I'm really,
sensory,
really,
yeah.
yeah, really, really overwhelmed, if life gets too stressful, sensory things turn on. But it's like, well, then you relate that to, well, I'm really overwhelmed and stressed. So is this a response from overwhelm and stress and things that are being, or is it actually a thing that I have?
Mhm.
So if you have a look, like if I think about over the last 18 months, how much internal work I've done through integral alchemy, and a lot of the ADHD autism traits, like they've come down a lot, like the manicness has come down a lot. My focus can increase a lot, but you know, it still exists, but it's a
Mhm.
lot less. So
Right.
I think that it can get amplified by the amount of trauma that you hold.
Yes, I agree. I was diagnosed with ADHD and I started taking meds in college and through meditation, a lot of healing work, that it's gone a lot better. I wouldn't say it's
Yeah.
totally gone, but again, there's also positives about it as well. So don't want to take that. So anyways, back to your story. You were achieving a lot, doing a lot, and but using drugs at first to really help you cope and get things done more, and then fighting became a way to another avenue, and yeah, just keep going from there.
Yeah. So at some point in that athlete journey, I decided to start a recovery center. And I wanted it because I wanted my own cryotherapy machine. At the end of the day, I just wanted my own cryotherapy machine. I turned to my dad and I'm like, if we get this machine, then I could go to the Olympics. Muay Thai is going to be in the Olympics. And he's like, well, how much money can we make? And I was like, oh, all right, well, we'll do the numbers. And he was like, all right, let's start this business. So we started this business and it was like, high performance for athletes. And I was in my mind, I was like, oh, we can just do saunas and cryos every day and we never have to feel anything. And we can always, so it's like the same thing again. This like new way to get dopamine and to hide all the pain and to hide all the feelings. So I start this business and it does like amazing at the start. And then I just go, cool, put in some managers, go off back fighting, and the business crashes. And I go off and do an ayahuasca journey. And it's like, well, you just spent like how much money starting this thing? Do you want to punch people in the face or do you want to run this business? So I gave up the fighting. And inside of that, I was like, oh, I've got some shit to deal with.
So yeah, it seems like whenever people start out, and I know this for myself, start your own business, then your own stuff comes out, or another layer. Even if you have been working on your own stuff, you see you have to confront yourself to a greater depth.
Yeah, I mean, by that point, I'd had a marketing business for 8 or 9 years or something like that. Like I'd been doing that. It was more the giving up the fighting that was like, hang on, I've got an eating disorder. Got some weird attachment thing going on with my coach. I haven't got connection with anyone in my life. My health is like in the bin. And I put on about 35 kilos, like really quickly because of all the starvation and overtraining and undereating and all that sort of stuff. So I was just like really smacked in the face with how much of a mess I was, even though I had been like in this delusion that I was killing it. Yeah. So I guess like probably about a year after that, I like went home for a little bit and recollected myself, brought the business home, and I nearly shut it down. Like there was like a really big turning point where I was like, oh, I'm actually part of the problem. Like the messaging in this business and what I'm doing is actually part of the problem. I am saying to people like, oh, you just got to do like cold therapy every day and sauna every day and you'll be fine. And it's like, well, that's not true. And it's not what I believe anymore. I've been doing a lot of plant medicine, a lot of psychotherapy work. I was trained in a specific psychotherapy thing by one of my friends. And so I was deep in all of this work and my business wasn't really reflecting it. So it was like I either shut it down or I rebirthed the whole thing. So I rebirthed the whole thing and we started blending all of these modalities that we now had in the clinic. I had a fat freeze machine and I had a strength coach, and I was like through that process of giving up fighting and having to get my health back on track. I went deep into research around hormones and food and nutrition and all the biohacking stuff to really understand how to get my body back to a healthy place without like endless running, endless training, counting calories, all of that bullshit, and actually nourish myself in a way that allowed all of that weight to come down, allowed my inflammation to go away. So I had all of this cool tools and knowledge now. So we kind of moved all of that into the business. And I hired one of my coach's wife who was doing some emotional work. And we built this program that was pretty much based around like losing weight. And people would come in and do the fat freeze and do all the recovery stuff. And we do this emotional work. And it's like, well, there's no point in us getting fat off of you unless you're going to undo the reasons why it was there in the first place. And if we need to get you to eat well, what is the resistance to eating well? So we're doing a really good job at that at the start. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I was just saying more about addressing the root rather than the symptoms. So the symptom doesn't just come back in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. So like random things, like there was a guy we're working with who we finally got him onto carnivore. Like that's one of the things we do with men at the very start to get rid of all of their inflammation and reset their body and push out all of the toxins. And men can do that for a pretty decent amount of time without it affecting their hormones. And so he's like finally cut out all of the drinking and all of the sugar and all of the crap. And he's like, I suddenly don't want to eat anymore. And when we got into it, there was this story that was running in his system around how his mum used to be really averse to fat and salt because that would make her fat. So he's like, his system was averse to it. So he just didn't want to eat the meat and the butter and the salt. And in clearing that, he's like, oh, now I can just eat this all day. So there's like weird stories and resistance that will come up when you push someone towards something. So rather than forcing you to do it, it's like, let's just get rid of the resistance.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's so interesting how, I mean, just obviously how integral, how tied in everything is. It's not just about the physical, it's about the stories, the psychological. And I mean, that's part of our body too. And so dealing with that story then helps us with the physical. And yeah, I want to ask you too about, you said kind of like the counting calories and some different stuff that was like BS to you versus, okay, can you go into that a little bit, like the difference?
Yeah. So like, as an example, when I was fighting, I would go see these dietitians and it was like, okay, well, here's your food plan and you can't go out of it. And it would be like maybe 1,400, maybe 1,500 calories. And I mean, there was fight camps I was in where it was 800 calories for a day while I was running 20 Ks in the morning and then training at nighttime. And my body was like kind of shifting and sometimes it just wouldn't. So it's like, it just, calories in, calories out isn't working. And it's because my body was so stressed out. I just wanted to hold on to everything. It's like, that's not enough food to even survive, let alone run 20 Ks and then go do training for a few hours at nighttime. Like, it's insane. And so, and then you think about all the psychological things of like the manicness of weighing food and counting it and all of the energy that and stress and cortisol that's created in like micromanaging all of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then there seems to be something, and there's probably science, and I don't have it, and we can probably look for it, but there seems to be something around like what you're actually eating in the first place. Like the calories aren't a calorie. It's like the Fruit Loops aren't the same as the meat.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, what is that actually doing inside of your body? Like, what inflammation is it causing? How is it nourishing you? All of those things. Because I've then gone to, from that, and the way that I got the fat off of me was pushing myself up to like about 3,000 calories. And the first thing that happened is I tried to work with another dietitian who was like, yeah, count it again. You got to eat this much and just eat whatever you want. And I was like more inflamed, more sick, not getting anywhere. So when I did all the research myself and shifted to eating like really clean, high quality grass-fed meat, heaps of fats, like cycling carbohydrates in and out according to my cycle, doing fasting, it seemed I could just eat an endless amount of food and weight was falling off of me. So it's like, well, I'm not even training right now. So how is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
And then
it sounds like it's more about, I've heard of something like intuitive eating. Like it's not a formula. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's story is different. So you have to figure out what works for you. And of course there is healthy and unhealthy things in general that work for people, but you have to find specifically what works for you in your situation.
Yeah. Well, so what I've noticed inside of the clinic though, right, is like most people seem to be under-eating. So, I mean, like most of the people, like, yeah, their overeating does happen. And there's obviously a lot of people out there that are eating a lot of absolute bullshit. But there's a lot of people out there that are under-eating and then wondering why that they can't get the body that they want or the health that they want. It's like, well, if you're not eating enough protein, how do you expect to grow any muscle? And if you're not growing any muscle, what is your body going to do? It's going to hold on to the fat. There's not enough there. If you're not eating enough food, it's going to go, oh, we're in famine. If we're in famine, then we have to hold everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting because, you see people in their fat, you're like, oh, they're overeating, but you're just like, it's the opposite actually.
Yeah. 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 Happens quite a lot. Or like there's not enough fat in the diet. So then the hormones don't operate properly. Or and even inside of undereating, especially if it's been going on for a long time, it's like, is your leptin and ghrelin even functioning properly? So can you recognize hunger and can you recognize satiation? And I'm working with a client at the moment and I'm like trying to get her to describe what hunger feels like and what being full feels like. And it's not quite the thing. And I've experienced that with I didn't know what hungry or full was. What I understood was that I needed to, I wanted to eat all of the time because I was restricted. And being full meant being so full that I can't move. Because I didn't have the brain, the pathways going to say, hey, you're satiated now, you're done. It just wasn't there. So I couldn't figure any other way. And to feel, when you've got voids going on, you've got emotion, you're trying to fill up something, then it's like fill to the end. And then you get patterns where it's like starvation, binge, because you can't actually figure it out.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. Look into that for myself. Because I feel like maybe I don't eat enough on a daily basis, and then I'll go to like family lunch and I'll eat a whole lot of food or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So tell me, I kind of want to know more about like how you went from drugs to the fighting. Was that like the shift out of drugs?
Not straight away.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How did you shift out of that? I'm curious.
I nearly died.
Oh
Like,
wow.
yeah. So I was getting into worse and worse and worse relationships. They were getting more and more and more violent. And I got shot at. And I was like,
Oh
oh,
wow.
I probably need to get out of this. This is going to like kill me really soon. So like I had in my mind, like, okay, you're done. Like this is, you can't go any further. The next thing that happens, you're dead. It got worse and worse and worse. Like the universe kind of going like, hey, you're listening. Hey, you're listening. Hey, you're listening. And I was like, oh, it's fine. You know, I'm a tough fighter. It's fine. But that was like a little bit of, okay, I've got to do something about this. I didn't quite know how to get out of it. At the time I was, you know, I owned two properties. I was training. I was renovating my dad's properties, and it just like I had a business that I was trying to run, but I was like at breaking point. Like my mortgages weren't getting paid. This particular guy was like just like draining me of every dollar that I had. Like, oh my god, like this guy's going to come and kill me. I need $5,000. He's just like taking all the money that I had. So I ended up having both my houses repossessed. I was living in one of the units that I was renovating. I was still laughing about it. Like I just, you know, oh, well, like I kind of wanted this. Like I remember a moment where I was like, I really want to move out of this house, but I really can't be bothered packing up my stuff. And then, the sheriff rocks up with the removalist truck. He's like, get out, we're packing your stuff. And I was like, oh, whoops, I got what I asked for. So I all thought it was a big joke still. And I met another guy a couple months later, and he was kind of like me. Wasn't like the pieces of shit in the drug world, if you want to put it like that. He like owned properties and had a business, and it kind of didn't really belong. Like I didn't really belong. And so together we were like, yeah, do you want to just get out of this? And so we did. We just like pulled the pin and got out of it, and that was just it. It was done.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty common, I guess. Is like something that you brings you so low that you're like, okay, it's make it or break it, basically.
Yeah. And I think like along that way, like it was quite funny. Like I'd started going on some kind of spiritual journey. I started trying to learn meditation and learn. So here I am, like, smoking a crack pipe and then meditating, like, so I was like developing skills to be able to survive on the other side of it. So I journaled every day from the day I got clean for like 4 years straight. So I had developed all of these tools and strategies that could keep me okay through that. Because still no one knew. I still didn't tell a single soul. I only told my parents maybe 18 months ago.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's both a sudden thing, like, oh man, make it a ricket, but also a slow journey, and you were building habits and good things that helped you sustain you when you got out of doing drugs to help you not get back into it. And like, this is a healthy replacement.
Yeah. And to be fair, I did a bit of therapy before I gave it up. Like I had that massage therapist. I did quite a bit of work with her. When I did give it up, I relapsed a little later on, and I was seeing another therapist during that. So I was doing that inside of it. And it's an interesting perspective that I now hold, in that when clients come in with different kinds of addictions, whether it's drugs or food or work or whatever it is like not taking away their vice until they're emotionally ready to live without it. So rather than this like, all right, you just need to detox and get clean, and whatever you feel after that is like your bad luck. It's like, well, nah, like just that's there for a reason, because you actually can't cope with yourself outside of that. So like you can do some work so that it's safe to just be with yourself without that thing when you can finally put it down.
Yeah, right. And then that principle goes for anything, whether it's addictions or habits or beliefs, anything really. It's a protection mechanism, or you could say like it's an outdated system you're using to survive.
Yes.
And it's like, how can you update the system? But you have to do it step by step and not just fall off the cliff. And then it's like, you might be able to sustain that for a little bit, but you're going to crash and burn and then fall back in. So how do you slowly, safely move into a better way of living and habits.
Yeah. And then you don't get this like really chaotic, like I'm done and then I'm relapsed and then I'm done and then I'm relapsed. Or like, you see it in a positive way, right? People start a business and then they go back to their job and then they try and do the business and they go back to their job. And it's like build the internal capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah. Where do you want to go from here? I guess we were talking about like the programs that you have, and then you're starting to talk about the emotional component. I'm sure the integral alchemy like starts to come into play as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So integral alchemy was like really random accident. The said person that I had working in my business, she wanted to do this course that Gavin's ex-business partner, they had this little like mini course they were doing, and she was like, "Oh, can we get it?" So she was following the ex-business partner, and I was like, I don't know, this guy, I can't even find this guy online. Whatever, if you want it, get it. And so I bought it for her, and she didn't do the course. I sat down and went through the whole thing, booked the call with Gav at the end. We're on the phone for a couple of hours, and it's like, all right, let's just do some hard work together. So me and Gav, rather than doing the thing that was there, we went really hard into the process that he was doing and like really worked hard on my business. So the whole point of our 3 months together was to open up to receiving so that I could make more money in the business. And it opened me up so much. By the end of it, I landed in this like incredible relationship. So and I'd been like on my own for 7 years. So like inside of that, I was like, okay, this is like out of all of the therapy, all of the plant medicine, all of the stuff, I'm like, this is ridiculous. So it wasn't long after that, me and Gav were on the phone. He's like, you want to learn it? Because that business had shut down. And it was like, yeah, like I've like honed it into something new. And I was like, yeah, go on. So he trains me in about 90 minutes. I'd done so much other stuff before. Like, I'm in America doing processes on dudes in cabins while we're at the Aubrey Marcus thing, whatever. So I got it in 90 minutes and I just start like practicing it on the people around me. And now I'm like, okay, we're putting this inside of the business. So a few months later, we start training my team. One of them survived it. So it's like the intensity of actually going through integral alchemy itself was so intense. It's like I had one staff member left actually like completing the training because it was just so intense, and they didn't ask for it. They didn't rock up and be like, hey, I want to do this process. It was like, oh, you want to learn this? But the only way to get really good at it is to go so deep into yourself and do those sessions on yourself to be able to hold that. So here we are, I think what's the date today? The 20th or something?
11, 19th.
Okay.
19th.
So in 6 days, it's a year since I learnt it. So we're a year later, and the entire business is now, it is integral alchemy supported by everything else that we do. So I've flipped it on its head from a recovery center to where a center that is based solely on integral alchemy, and we support it with recovery tech like cryo and compression and sauna and strength training and food coaching and all of those sorts of things. Fat freeze machine just needs to go in the bin. I use it occasionally, but what I found with that is people use it as a crutch, and it's like, oh, I can just do this. And it's like when they had that, they didn't really want to do the deep work because they had like an easy out.
Right. Yeah, that's what I find a lot. I mean, I think a lot of people, the healers that are interested in the deep work, people often come looking for like easy solutions, which is kind of like what the modern Western capitalistic world, I guess, whatever you could say, is like selling. It's like quick fixes and like the symptoms, but to really, heal and change and grow, you have to do the deep work, which is a lot harder. And then people, aren't looking for that, or they're not. Some people are just not ready, which is, I guess, it's okay.
Also, okay.
But yeah, I mean, like if the really healing, amazing, transformative work is also, it's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. And if you want to go this deep, it's really, really rough. Yeah, it's also like the quickest fix you can get.
Right. It's so funny because people are looking for quick fixes, and it's like, this is the quick fix, but it also makes it hard.
It's terrifying. You have to go and face yourself in ways that you've never been willing to face. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you the question I asked you previously. And so you were saying that on your own journey that the cryo and all those things became its own addiction for you. How do you try to help people not fall into that same sort of habit and going to your clinic and your program?
Yeah. I get, so I guess the main part of it is my intention behind people working with me is that they don't ever need me again. They can choose to come back. So it's like, you're not coming here every single day. Like I make it, you have to come and do the recovery stuff twice a week. And it's super helpful, right? Like if someone's got inflammatory disorders or they're burnt out or they've got chronic fatigue or they're not sleeping or, whatever that is, like it's really, really helpful. And maybe it is okay to do those things regularly. Like I don't feel that great if I don't get in there for 3 or 4 weeks. Like I did that recently and I was like, like there is super benefits to getting in the sauna 3 or 4 times a week. Your longevity increases, like all these benefits kind of happen out of it. And same thing with the cryotherapy. Like there's so many benefits in it. But it's like, are you doing it for longevity or are you doing it to just feel good in this moment? And I guess because they're doing that emotional work, it's like, well, they're not running. They're not running from that stuff. They're actually facing that every single week. So my preference is that we don't really let people do any of that stuff unless they're coming in to do the deep work. Like people are rocking up and facing their stuff, right? So they're not running away from doing that. And there's nothing wrong with doing regular sauna. There's nothing wrong with doing regular cryo. It's if you're using it as a crutch to not have to feel the things. So I would prefer that people aren't coming to do these things unless they're coming in to face themselves inside of the deep work. So I try not to really do anything other than the program, because it's like if you're doing the program, you're doing the alchemy, you're in here facing your actual self and demons and all of those things, then you're not using that as a crutch anyway.
Right. Yeah. And again, people are where they're at. So like some people might just need to, like, you could say microdose the integral alchemy and do more of the cryo and that type of thing. And then so they can build up to be ready to like really face the shadows and go deep. And maybe that's just like where they're at, and that's okay too. But I like that, I think any good healer is if they're being honest and authentic, they're trying to help people heal so that they won't need to be dependent and they'll be like sovereign within themselves and able to do the process within themselves. Yeah.
And I think that's what integral alchemy really does, because of the way that the process is run. It builds so much sovereignty. Because I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm not telling you what's there. I'm not pathologizing you. I'm not doing any of those things. You're doing the work. I'm just holding the space and guiding it. And the amount of, it's almost like a side effect that happens. They don't really know what's happening, but suddenly at the end of it, they have all this sovereignty and they trust what they're feeling and they trust what they need and they trust what's right for them next. And I guess part of, I've had to learn that lesson in, being a really good salesperson for all of my life, like, number one in the country at Yellow Pages and kicked ass at Toyota, whatever, all the stuff that I did. And rather than being that, even though I'm running a business and I got to make money, in allowing people to go through that process of deciding what is good for them. And sometimes it's almost part of the healing process, right? So I've got this client, she came in January, and she got so angry with everything that I said. And you could just tell she was like, up your ass. So she was seeing this holistic medical doctor at the time, and he was definitely right. And everything I was saying was bullshit. And so she was really, really pissed off, and she went away. But then she came back because she really wanted the sauna and she didn't like any of the other saunas anywhere else. So she came back all begrudgingly a couple of times. She was like, I can't believe we have to go back there, And then she ended up signing up for like a little membership where she could do cryo and compression sauna, and she did that for a while. And then she was like, I just want to cancel it. And so like the whole time I'm just like having to let her do like, okay, yeah, cancel that. I don't really mind. And then she'd come back the next week and go, I want to do double that. It's like, oh, okay, whatever you want.
She's like looking for a fight. She's looking for that.
Looking for the fight.
You're not giving it to her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And she really taught me this lesson, and just in like, I'm watching that happen and her playing out the childhood drama of like you're going to fight me and then I'm going to tell you to fuck off. And it's like, well, I'm not going to fight you. And then what are you going to do? And then, so then she keeps coming back and then going, pull away, come back. And so,
Right.
I mean, I've actually alchemied her on the push pull stuff just last week, where it actually came from. But she ended up, after doing all of this, just walking in one day and going, sign me up for the full thing. And now she's doing it twice in a row.
Wow, that's awesome. It's like a defensive mechanism. Like,
yes.
I'm actually self-sabotaging, trying to get you to fight so I can say, hey, it's you. And
yes.
I don't like this. Instead of like, oh, wait, actually, you're not fighting me. It's safe. But it's going to take time for my nervous system to realize that and to accept that. And then once I do, then she's full in.
Yes. So often my job is like, I'm still here, I'm still here, I'm still here, I'm still here. Throw the knives, throw the swords, burn everything around you. Like, I'm still here, I'm still here. Like, because it's transference, right? Like, the energy is so much. Sometimes I'll sit down in front of someone for a consult and the energy is so much. If they've got trauma with their mother especially, or ex-girlfriends for that matter, but especially like some kind of feminine trauma, then the transference happens on me and I am now all of those people that have done those things to them. So they need to play all of that out.
Right. Yeah. I think it's either Jung or Hillman or something like that, a psychologist, talking about how like a lot of the gold is in the transference, countertransference, and it's not something to like run away from, but like, hey, what is going on here? And what is that telling us about past stuff and our blocks? So yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah. And just being able to hold that and not take it personally and just go, all right, I can see what's going on here, and just keep allowing it. Like, I'm always going to be here no matter what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just it's kind of like reparenting in a way, you know, and I mean, like, we're also trying to help them reparent themselves. And it's like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do my best to be unconditionally there for you, no matter what.
Yeah,
and you learn a new relationship, and then that mirror also teaches you how to be with yourself and not abandon yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, so, the alchemy does that, right? Like inside of integral alchemy, we're always like, we don't want it to be on us as much as possible. We want to take them back to moments so that they can reparent themselves. So it is never about us, the person sitting here, but it does happen in that way. And, you know, I'll notice it with men strongly, because especially if they've got mother wounds, and let's face it, and you all do, and the little boy comes out and it's like, now I can feel the sadness and rage and hatred. It's like just having to hold that and like just allow that to happen a little bit. And so sometimes I actually got to put masculine next to me, put my partner next to me, or put Gavin next to me, just to create some safety, because it's unsafe to feel the safety because their nervous system has never felt the safety before, so it panics.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Do you want to kind of just like, if you could summarize what integral alchemy is in your own words, what would that be?
Like somatic emotional surgery is probably the best way I can do it. I mean, I find it really hard to articulate because there's so much inside of it. And no matter how hard I try and articulate it, I can't do it. Like, someone experiences it and go, oh, what the hell was that? So I guess it's like a bit of a meta modality. There's so many parts to it and we can go in so many different directions. We've got the tools and the skills to do parts work, to do reparenting, to do energy movement, to do so many different parts of it. So we can bring stuff in at any time. But it is very, very surgical. So, if Gavin asked me one day, what's the difference between this and breath work? And I said, well, in breath work, you don't know what the hell's going to come up. You breathe, you get lost somewhere, and all sorts, like, you don't really know. Whereas with integral alchemy, you're like, this is my very specific problem, and we can get a scalpel and go in there and pull it out.
Yeah, it's kind of, again, what you're talking about, that sovereignty, like asking people questions, what's going on? And they might not even know, or they might say, oh, this is the problem. And then going through the process, find out, oh, you know what, it's actually about this, or there's another component to it.
Well, it's all the body, right? So everyone solves problems with their mind. And so psychology and talk therapy and NLP, it's all like mind-based stuff. And I mean, yes, there are somatic therapies, but again, it's like, okay, well, let's just like move this. And so you're just releasing whatever kind of might be there. Whereas we're kind of doing mind and heart and like body all at the same time. And so getting the body to speak, once it's actually dropped in and it's safe and it's being held, the body gets to speak, and people are often very surprised about what it has to say. Their mind is saying something very different. And then this is where you kind of get people being so tired and exhausted and burnt out because they've got two parts running the show. It's like, I want this, but my body wants something different, because there's a protector part, or there's a part that actually wants something different. And it's like reconciling all of that so that your entire system is on this. It's integration, right? Integrating all the different parts of yourself into one, so they're all in the same path. And then you're not being dragged in each different direction by different parts that haven't never communicated to each other, or you've never communicated to it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that one thing I love about parts work is just how intuitive it is, because we all, if we really look inside, we're like, well, I want this, but for some reason I'm not doing it. So there's more parts at play. And so you have to work with them. And that's very somatic, and that's a lot of energetic. And then once we like uncover that, then we have to alchemize that energy, and it's a big process. But once you do that, then it's like, oh wow, I have so much more free energy to use without resistance to what I want.
Yeah. And I guess the other part of it is it's like so much more pushing forward into the things we want, rather than let's just deal with all of our past trauma. So much of the amazing work that we do is like, well, what happens if you had the $1 million, the perfect partner, the business that you want, like pushing you into the future of what you really desire and what your capacity to be, and all of these things, and then seeing what comes up inside of that, rather than just trauma. So it's expansive, capacity expansive. It's a positive result, rather than just, well, that's dealt with, I wonder what will happen now.
Yeah. And I think that's the advantage that coaching is starting to realize, or has realized, that where therapy might be a little short, and I think they're coming around, but and not just the healing and the negative and the trauma, but what are we looking forward to? And that's, healing and growth are tied together. So you can't really do one without the other. And so if you just focus on healing alone, then you're not actually going to fully heal. So we need growth to push us and see our potential, and connect with that positive and that forward momentum side as well.
Yeah. Because there's a loop otherwise. It's a loop of like, what else can I find? What else is wrong with me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful. Do you have like any advice for people that have addictions, to how to work through that?
I think if nothing else, like if you're on your own and there's nothing else, it's like, get the other stuff right, do some exercise and get the food right, and do all the little things that you can do, because it's like the body can't do very much from a really, really unhealthy place. Like, you'd be surprised about what exercise can do for the thing that the addiction is giving you. And it depends on what the addiction is though, right? Like, it's like, because at the end of the day, like, that will all be slightly helpful right now to put you into a more stable place. But the only thing that's actually going to ever solve it is to connect back with yourself. So the statement that I use is like, well, addiction is actually just a disconnection from self, which creates a disconnection to others from a truthful place. So the only thing that actually is ever going to solve it is to come back to yourself, to be able to connect with yourself. What do you truly desire? What do you truly want? What's actually going on inside of there? What are you actually feeling? All of those things. And like, it depends what the addiction is. Like, if you're a full-blown heroin addict, you want to take like stop having that immediately and try and deal with all this stuff. It's going to be pretty hard. Like, you actually do need to have some kind of support. You need someone to hold you. You need someone to hear you and see you.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Just know where you're at and what's going on, and take things one step at a time again.
Yeah. But if it's like, if it's work or if it's exercise or if it's food or something like that, it's like go and speak your truth to someone. Go and say the thing that you haven't said. Go and have a hard conversation. Go and speak what's really happening in your heart. Get rid of the thing that you need to be getting rid of. It's like more truth, more truth, more truth, more truth, more truth, because that's what we're running from.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I kind of see there is like something like heroin. You're just feeling the heroin maybe makes you feel good for like a slight amount of time. And then you come off of it, you feel terrible. Something like exercise makes you feel better, and that can give more long lasting effects, but you overdo it, then it's too much. And so the people that like exercise might be addiction. You're kind of at a place where you're healthy in a physical way to some extent, but you need to like really focus on facing yourself and who you are. Where maybe like heroin, you just need to like learn something to feel good in a healthier way before then you're ready for the next step of facing yourself and connecting more with that.
Potentially, I think it's a really
right.
It's a really individual thing. Like if you're getting a full blown addict, like I mean, I just had a full blown addict come through the program, and it was like straight up roll in integral alchemy day one, and it was messy and crying and on the floor, but like it worked, and I think it was like took 8 weeks or something like that for him to put it all down, and now he's like fully stepped into his masculine energy. Got into this incredible healthy relationship, about to start training to really step into like men's work and all this sort of stuff. Like it was unbelievably fast.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. That's great. And never, sell yourself short. Like you could be different. It could be a lot faster.
Yeah. I mean, he's also like lifting weights and eating the right food and doing all those things at the same time. Like the lifting of the weights for him was very, very important, because it was like, oh, like I actually am strong. I actually am, like all of the pain that he had in his body. So part of the addiction was like, well, I'm just in all this pain all the time. I've like broken my back. I've done all of these things. And so it was like, well, almost an excuse. I'm just self-medicating. I'm never going to be, I'm never going to be able to do anything. And turns out that he can lift all of the heavy weights and not be in pain. And all of the pain was actually just emotional shit anyway.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So is there anything else that we haven't covered all? I think we covered a lot in a shortest span of time.
I mean, I guess like that's all the really rough stuff, but then like, how do you then take this into someone that isn't a full blown addict, or, what does this mean for the average person or the high performer? Because
I know that one thing you deal with is like burnout too, which could be tied in addiction, but doesn't necessarily have to be.
Yeah. And so what I find burnout is almost exactly the same thing. It's like, well, right. So I'm endlessly doing all of this stuff that's against what I really desire. And so you just, because we actually have capacity to do a lot of stuff. The human body is amazing. You can keep expanding your capacity, and do an incredible amount of stuff if you're not living in resistance to the things, if you're operating from your heart, if you're speaking your truth, if everything is in like alignment and congruence. Otherwise that turns into burnout. Like how much chronic fatigue exists, where people aren't sleeping very well and they're exhausted and they're waking up exhausted and all of those things, because they're actually just not speaking their truth, living their truth, saying the things out loud they need to say out loud, holding on to trauma from all of their entire life. I see a lot of people get around to about 50, and I have a theory about it, because we were talking about it from a menopause perspective. I'm like, why do women get to 50 and then suddenly they have all these health issues and they put on weight and all this sort of stuff? My nana actually said it to me. She was like, oh, menopause happens and then all the unhealed trauma surfaces. And I was like, well, why is that? And I thought about it, and I thought, okay, well, maybe this is like a parenting thing. Like I no longer have to keep my children alive. My job there is done from taking care of them. So now all of my shit can surface. And so then all these issues come online at around, late 40s, 50s. And it's like all of the unhealed stuff is now surfaced. The body has been holding it all of this time. And now that you've taken care of that, it's like, well, now you've got to deal with it.
Yeah. So, I see that in marriages. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that it happens on an individual level and in the body as well.
Tell me about the marriages.
Well, just that like a lot of times marriages are really, if it's a, difficult marriage or they're not dealing with the spouse's issues, they're just like, oh, we need to be here for the kids. And then once the kids high school graduate, then all that stuff comes up and a lot of, it may not work out, depending on if they want to deal with it and work through it or not.
So now the kids have become the distraction, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. So like the relationship thing is really interesting because I think a good 80% of my clients right now is like potential breakups. And it's this like the tension has just come to the surface of like, well, he can't hold my emotions. She's not taking accountability or responsibility. And it's like that tension because no one's actually dealt with their own shit. And so it just keeps getting projected out onto each other. And so the little boy is having a meltdown. And then the little girl who wasn't ever taken care of is having a meltdown. And so it's just attack. And those relationships can be solved if both people step up to the plate and deal with their internal shit. And I'm wondering about it because I'm watching all this happen. I'm doing it with a lot of men specifically right now. And I watched it all happen and thought, well, I wonder if this is why women were called to do the healing first collectively. Because I watched it and it's like when a woman has done it and she's like grounded and non-reactive and she's not operating from a wound, but a man does, he sees the gap and then can see how his reactivity and little boy behavior causes her so much pain. And his like basic like job as being a man is to protect and provide. And he can't even protect her from himself. So then the guilt is so much. And I don't even think I could understand how much that guilt is. I've watched it happen. I empathetically felt it with my partner. And I was like, what is this? Like, this is not okay. Because it's like a guilt and like, I'm not even a man. I can't even protect her from myself. Look how I've shown up. And so that pain is so much that it creates something in them to want to go and do whatever they can to rise. So then they go and do that work. But if it had been reversed and the man had done all of the work first and she's just showing up like chaos, she won't see it because it's a natural state for a woman to just be chaotic and manic and all of those things. So she's not going to see like, oh, I'm causing you this pain. It's like, this is my God-given right to be chaotic and emotional and all of these things. So the like ability to actually see it the other way doesn't seem to be there. Nor is the guilt.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that before. That's definitely something to like contemplate. I've thought, and maybe it's not either or, maybe it's both and, but women are naturally, whether it's nature and nurture or both, better with emotional intelligence and talking about feelings, and also they're more communal and supportive and like together with each other. And so I feel like that they're already one step ahead of the men. And so it's hard for men to, we have to learn emotional intelligence. We have to learn to speak about our feelings. We have to learn to be more communal and help each other out. So they're a little step behind.
But I think that's maybe by design. And of course we were supposed to lead it, right? We are naturally all of those things. So of course we should have done it first. Of course we should lead that. Of course we should show them how it's done. It's our natural state. And so I think there's too much pressure on the men to have it figured out straight away. It's like, give them some grace. You figured it out. Well done. Now you can lead them into that with a little bit of grace rather than this rage that everyone seems to have about like, they can't step up. They're not there yet. This is bullshit. There's no good men out there. It's like, well, I'm sure they all want to be those men, right? Like, and we have those skills. We know how to do that. We can show the way. It is our nature. There just needs to be a little bit of grace.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a refreshing perspective. Yeah, interesting. Well, thanks for that.
Welcome. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen the pain. I've like seen the pain a lot in the last couple of months. And I'm like, I don't think this is fair. And I guess coming from the world that I've come in and being an athlete and a fighter and a this and that and the other, and, a lot of my pain is about women. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I understand it. I understand that perspective deeply because I operated from my masculine for so long. So I understand, being on the side of that and not having been in that state. I rejected we were talking about it the other day of like, it's almost a dark feminine mind control that can happen. And if it's in the shadow, it's really toxic and manipulative. And like, so we're talking about it from the perspective of, can I like integrate this and own this dark feminine where I can have a little bit of mind control, but I know what I'm doing and I'm in my power and I'm creating magic out of it, rather than it being in the shadow and it being leaky energy that's actually causing problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that there's two perspectives, and it's like they're both true at the same time. And that men have their struggles and women have their struggles and their own unique journeys, but also we're all humans, and so can we learn to appreciate and have empathy for each other's struggles
100%.
and unique paths, and not have like this battle of the sexes. It's like we need both of us. So how can we learn to see each other and work together, and at the same time realize we're all human and we're also all going through similar things in a way?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Grace needs to be required on both sides. It's like, if I showed up to my relationship with so much shit, and I have been given the grace to work through it, but I've been given the grace to work through it because I've taken responsibility. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I know I'm showing up in this way. I know I'm reactive. I know I'm projecting. I know I'm doing, but I also own where that has come from, and I'm going to go and do the work. And I think that's the answer, right? It's like, we can rock up with all of our shit, and it's not going to show up until you're in relationship anyway. Like, I thought I'd done.
That's where I was going next,
right? I was like, I'm healed. I'm ready for this. I'm like, day one, I'm like, what is this bullshit? Like, knives are getting thrown, and so it requires a relationship to do that. So there needs to be grace on both sides, and responsibility and accountability on both sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's one thing in being alone or not in a relationship and working on our stuff, and then we're like, oh, I'm good. But you get in a relationship, then it shows more of your unconscious that was easier to not see when you were alone. So it's another level, and it's like, are you gonna face it, or are you gonna run from that?
So we're talking about it this morning in like that twin flame energy, right? It's like, is it a trauma bond or is it a path to divine union?
What about both?
And end up as both. It's like, yeah, you might, and like understanding where you're actually landing. Like, have you got an avoidant and someone with an abandonment wound, which will do the opposite to each other and trigger the absolute shit out of each other. So that's actually a perfect environment to come into divine union, because you're doing the opposite things, and so you won't totally trauma bond because one's doing one thing and one's doing the other thing. One's running away, one wants to stay together. So you have to undo those parts to kind of get both parts met. But if you've got two abandonment wounds, you just keep staying together and doing whatever you have to do to stay together. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's really tough to work through. Really, really tough to work through. But still possible. And it's like, yeah, we're coming together, and it's like we're hitting the hardest shit. Like, what is this relationship? Why is it causing me so much triggers? Why am I, going insane inside of this? And it's like, this is the one. This is the one that will take you there if you're both willing to do the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that, twin flames can be, just a relationship to help each other work through each other's triggers, or they potentially could be like a romantic relationship, but it doesn't have to, it could be one or the other. It doesn't have to be,
Yeah. Like, I would put me and Gavin into that category, right? It's like the triggers that have been inside of that. It's like we've hit each other's traumas, like the business partner trauma that we've both had, and my abandonment wounds and daddy issues. Like, he has copped so much of my shit, but it's like been a beautiful thing because we have the tools, and so we can keep on doing and keep on doing and keep on doing it, and to create something so magical at the end.
Yeah. I've met someone and had a lot of that too, and it's truly special and magical when you find someone who's willing to also do the work, and you be like, oh, we can get triggered and we can talk about it and we
Yeah.
can work through it instead of just like going our separate ways, which I feel like happens more and more these days.
Yeah. Or it gets so toxic that it's like, how did we get from like a little trigger to throwing, through the wall? What is going on here?
Right.
And it's like, because the repair hasn't happened. So every time there's a conflict, if it doesn't actually get to full repair of that trigger, the conflict gets louder and louder and louder and louder. The repair actually needs to happen.
Yeah. It's good. Awesome. I love how we have a part 2, which we didn't even like plan on in relationships. The power of ADHD.
I know.
It all connects.
It does. Well, it actually does.
Yeah.
Because it all, like, no matter what someone comes in with, it ends up relational. Someone can come in for fat loss, ends up relational. Comes in for addiction, ends up relational. Comes in for their business, wants to grow their business, ends up relational. Like, that is who we are as humans. We're relational.
Right.
We always fall back to that. You know the reason why you can't make this particular money? Probably some daddy issues. You know what I mean? Like, it's relational in some way.
Right. That's a good point. It could be relational with yourself,
There you go. Or stories or whatever it is. And all, like, what is that? You talk about money thing. Like, what does it mean? Does it mean I'm loved? Does it mean I'm not loved? I had a situation where I was making heaps and then I ended up in a relationship and then I just stopped making money because I really wanted to be taken care of and didn't know how to ask for it. Relational.
Yep. That's good. Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No,
like we could go on forever.
Is there anything that you want to cover?
I think we've covered all that I had in mind. Of course, again, we could probably go on forever, but I think we've covered stuff pretty well. So,
do you want to tell your experience of integral alchemy?
Yeah, I went through the intro course with Gavin's videos, and then we talked and chatted, and then I had a session with him, and it was really good. I mean, I guess there's 2 elements in my mind. There's the intellectual. This is what it is. This is all the things it connects with, whether it's spiral dynamics or chakras or all the things. And I also made those connections before. So it was cool to see me and Gavin were like, oh yeah, we both have made these connections. So that was fun. But then of course the somatic and the actual embodiment and the experience of a session. And yeah, it was really good. Enjoy it. And I've had, some other, I've been coached and I've been coached. And so, it felt, very similar in that vein, but I definitely think that I haven't seen, I guess, one thing I'll say is I haven't seen anywhere else where there's a program that puts so many different things together in one place. So that's one thing I really
I don't think that it's been done. I have researched.
Yeah. And of course I haven't even been through the whole thing, so I don't even know the full extent of it, but just from the intro stuff,
Yeah. And I think, we got the clinic there, but even taking all of those parts to it when you're doing stuff online, it's like, let's have these conversations around what you're eating. Let's have these conversations around how you're moving. Like, all of this is whatever you're trying to do. If you're trying to build a business or build your relationship or make life better, it is food and movement and your emotional state. It has to be all the things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, I really, really enjoyed it. Great conversation. Loved all the different things we touched on. And again, like we said, it all connects and it's all relationships. So it's been really, I really enjoyed it. And I love your enthusiasm and your honesty and your wisdom.
Thank you very much. Been fun.